Welcome to She Sells Radio. Today's interview is going to blow your mind. It is with a friend of mine who not only is local to where I live, which is so much fun, but is a fellow Salesforce top sales influencer and is someone who I was immediately drawn to because of his energy, his positivity, and his enthusiasm, which you will get what I'm talking about shortly. And so if you're serious about upping your energy and your game in sales, I know that my guest today is going to deliver so much value to help you do it. So let me tell you a little bit about him, and then I will have him introduce himself. Larry Long Jr. is the founder and CEO of LL Jr. Enterprises, which focuses on sales motivation, inspiration, training, and coaching. He's the host of the Midweek Midday Motivational Minute and the author of Jolt. As a former college athlete, he played baseball for the University of Maryland. Larry is extremely passionate about coaching and helping professionals take their game to the next level. As an experienced sales leader with a demonstrated history of success in SaaS sales, Larry brings a unique perspective to the table and understands many of the challenges faced by sales professionals. Larry, welcome to the podcast. We are so excited. We've got props out already. Look, if y'all are listening to the audio version of this, go over to YouTube and watch, because Larry has the coolest props for his videos. It's so good to see you. How are you?
I'm happy to be here. I just want to make sure my microphone is on. With that so kind introduction, Elise, where do I send the check? That was amazing.
Right? Oh, I'll take it.
Over here.
Oh my gosh, Larry, we were just having so much fun in the pre-chat. And like I said, one of the things that just drew me to you immediately was your energy and your enthusiasm, which, as you and I both know in sales, I think that's, what do you think, 80, 85, 90% of it, right? You got to be enthusiastic about what you sell. But I want to know a bit of your backstory. So did you always know you wanted to go into sales, or was this not the lifelong dream? Like, tell me, how did this transpire for you?
I fell into sales. I can remember back as a teenager, Lawns by Larry. I used to mow lawns, and my mom made flyers and said, you got to go knock door to door. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. She said, why? What's the worst they can say? And I said, no. She said, is it really that bad? And I said, yes. I don't like to hear no. But she strongly encouraged me, i.e., she kicked me in the behind and said, get out there and start knocking on doors. And lo and behold, I earned some clients and I started making money. And the next year, I went out again knocking on doors. This time, I had my younger sister. My mom got her dressed up in her Sunday best, and I got more clients. I said, wow, I like this. But professionally, I owned a baseball academy. The baseball academy failed. And I found the only company that I could find was making 150 cold calls every day to accounting firms.
Ooh,
that's the biggest slump. I think I got one sign up in my first 750 calls. I was ready to give up. I was ready to throw in the towel. But one manager, I won't say his name, he knows who he is. He said, Larry, come in my office. He said, hey, you made 148 calls. We expect 150. If you do that again, I'm going to tell you, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord splits you. Wow. You'll be out of here. I said, whoa, savage. Now, another manager said, hey, Larry, you got so much potential. You got to ditch the script. You got to rip up the script and just talk to people like you talk to your homeboys. I said, James, his name is James Hatfield. I said, James, you don't know how I talk to my homeboys. That might be an HR violation. He said, you're right. But let's find that happy medium, because when you're selling, it's just people talking to people, helping people. And when I got that perspective, that's all she wrote, Elise. That's all she wrote.
Wow. What changed for you then? I'm so curious, because that's one of the things we teach is, let the script be guardrails, but I think so many people get stuck there. So what shifted for you then?
Hello, this is Larry Long Jr. calling from Profits. And I sounded like a robot. No one wants to talk to a robot. There's a reason why people were hanging up on me. I had one guy in New Jersey who said, Larry, I got something for you. I thought I was getting a sign up. Oh, no. He said, I want you to put on a pair of concrete shoes and jump off a bridge.
Oh, my God.
I looked in the manual. I said, I don't know how to overcome that objection. So I said what came to mind. I said, God bless you too. And then I hung up. But what happened is I started speaking from the heart. I started sharing my story of being a failed small business owner who wishes his accountant had helped him understand the numbers of the income statement, the balance sheet statement of cash flows. And that's what our software provided. So when I shared my story and I asked the question, do you have small business owners whose eyes glaze over when you start talking through the financial statements? Ding, 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 ding. We've got a winner, 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 chicken dinner. And that totally changed the game for me.
Wow. Wow. So already the takeaway, which I think all of us can relate to, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a sales leader, coaching your salespeople how to be successful with phone sales, whether you're a salesperson listening to this, it's like connecting from the heart. And to me, I always try to check in before I do a call or before I send an email. It's like, am I over analyzing what I'm going to say? Am I too in my head with it? Because like we can all go there, right? We can all go there, but anytime we're there, we're not as successful. We're just not. So I love that takeaway. I love that. So from there, I just want to hear a little more of the journey, and then I want to get into some of what you teach in your book, which I'm so excited about. But what inspired you from there to go into coaching like you do now?
Yeah, so it's funny, Elise, because I used to coach kids in baseball. When I became an SDR, making 150 dials, I had some success and I had the opportunity to coach a team. And then other organizations said, Larry, how come your team is smiling? They're standing up, they're smiling and dialing, having fun. How do you do that? Our teams aren't doing that. So folks would bring me in to just share how I would lead my teams. And I would do it free 99 over and over and over again until I met a speaker and a coach who said, Larry, are you stupid or are you dumb? When you give value, you got to get value back. And it was just really that natural progression where I'm able to help people as well as I'm able to make a business of it. So I love speaking. I love coaching. I love training. Most importantly, I love transforming lives, taking people from where they're at. And when they leave, my goal is that they're somewhere different that's better. They're in a better place personally, professionally, all around. So that's what really drives me. And now I have the opportunity to do that full time as a business venture. Who would have thunk it, Elise?
It's the best in the world. I always think that coaching is the best in the world. So actually, based on what you just said, I am so curious. I want to ask this before we go into more about the book. So how did you do it? So I want everyone listening to just kind of think about, okay, it was 150 calls a week. Is that right?
Day.
Every
day.
Day. How many calls I'm okay. Do the math for me. Walk me through a day. I don't even know if I want to know, but okay, here's what I want to know. Give us some context for what that's like how many calls you're making an hour. And then how did you shift your mindset to be so successful in that? And then to be able to go teach other people to do that? Because that takes a definite mindset shift.
Oh, it definitely does. And I'm not good. I'm not a math major, but we used to have these grids where every time we made a call, we were going to check it off. And I can tell you, you talk about being mentally tough. This is being mentally tough because every call, and most calls you're getting, the accounting firms, they always have I'm not going to call them a gate. They have a receptionist who answers the calls. And generally the receptionist's job is to make sure you don't reach the accountant that you're trying to reach. So it's kind of a cat, excuse me, got me choked up just going back with flashback.
Right.
It's kind of a cat and mouse game, but we had to make it fun. I'll never forget Casey Gallo. We would make calls and people would say, we're not interested. And my response is, not interested in what? I haven't said anything. What if I have $1 million? Are you still not interested? And their answer would be, yeah, still not interested. Click. But we used to have fun with it. And it really taught me that you can have quality. We want to make quality interactions while also having quantity. Because throughout my career, folks have said, I can't make 50 calls, 100 calls, 150 calls and have them be quality. And my response back is, I'm selfish. I want it all. So in terms of how do you do it, you have to prepare yourself mentally. And it's kind of like baseball. I played baseball growing up. It's kind of like before every at bat, you have to get yourself pumped up in terms of, I'm going to have success. I'm going to control the controllables, keep my head down, eye on the ball, swing at strikes, and I'm going to hit hard line drives. Before I picked up the phone, I'm going to have a great attitude. In the words of the great philosopher, Bob Marley, I'm going to get up and stand up so my energy is high. And I'm going to have the best daggone interaction and call that I can possibly have. I'm going to give it my all if I leave a voicemail. I'm going to speak straight from the heart to make an impact, not expecting them to call me back, but planting that seed so that next time I do call and I reach them, oh, it's Larry, the guy that helps out small business owners, the guy that helps out other accountants. Oh yeah, that was my goal. So it taught me so much, and it taught me about perseverance. There were plenty of times, let's keep it real, Elise, that I was ready to give up. And essentially I looked at myself in the mirror and said, you're not a quitter. That's not how you roll, Larry. You better go ahead and get on that horse, dust yourself off, and make that next call.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. And here's one thing I know today, and it goes back to what your mom said to you way back when you were starting your lawn mowing business, was like, get out there and don't be afraid of the no. But this is, I'm sure, the conversations you have with your clients and conversations I have with my clients too. It's that fear of rejection, right? And I've got things that I coach myself around with that and things I tell my clients, but I want to hear from you because we have the Larry Long Jr. on the podcast today. How did you get past the fear of rejection?
Yeah. It's that 500-pound phone gets heavy when you hear a bunch of no's.
Right.
But it's keeping the end in sight. And it's knowing that, hey, I have to come up to bat. And for those that are watching the video, I got a pink baseball bat. Yes. You have to come at bat if you want to hit a home run. So everyone wants to hit a home run, but you want to do it the easy way. No, you got to go through the gauntlet. You got to go through the turbulence, the chaos, the no's in order to get to that yes. And that's where you sharpen. You really sharpen your skills, where you learn. So many times, I think society kind of conditions us that being unsuccessful, or AKA failure, is final. Failure is terrible. No, failure is where you learn. Failure is where you develop character. I played on some losing teams in college at University of Maryland. Go Terps. I know you're a Tar Heel, but it built character, and it made me realize I don't like this. I need to work harder. Let me go back in the lab. So it's the same thing from a business sense. As an entrepreneur, as a sales professional who better have an entrepreneurial spirit, I can control my effort. I can control my actions and my attitude, and I can control how I treat other people. Outside of that, I can't control anything, and that's okay. And it's okay if I'm not successful every time, because guess what? The more I fail, the more I learn. The more I learn, you better watch out now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's so good. It's so good. And I was thinking that when you shared at the beginning, you said, I owned was it a baseball academy? You said?
Yeah, baseball, softball academy.
Failed, right? Yeah. But it's like, would you, even looking back, would you consider it a failure, or would you look back and say it was leading me to where I am today?
That's right. So many times we go through ups and downs, and it's those valleys that we learn, and we're able to bounce back to hit, at least for me, some of my highest peaks have come from some of my lowest valleys. It's amazing.
Ooh, that's so good. That's so good. Okay, so I want to hear a little bit more about that, because I know in your book, Jolt, which, by the way, it's a relatively new book, right? Came out a couple months ago at the time of this recording.
May 19th, it dropped. Drop it like it's hot.
Congratulations. Oh my gosh, I love it. So you talk about in the book, like getting unstuck, right? And I know that people will listen. It's so easy to listen to someone like you, Larry, and hear your energy and hear your enthusiasm and think he's always this positive. Like it's always he's always got the baseball bat out and the mic's out and like he's rolling all the time. But I know, because anyone who has experienced the level of success that you have has to have had challenges, has to have had times when they felt really stuck. Tell us about, so I'm guessing perhaps, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm guessing there was some personal inspiration around getting unstuck. I'd love to hear about a time in your life where you felt really stuck, and what did you do to move forward? What did you do to propel forward? And we'll kind of talk about how, how our listeners can apply that to where they are right now.
Yeah, so Elise, let's go back to the start of right around COVID time. And I'm working full time as a sales director at a software company, but I'm not fulfilled. I'm not happy in my role. I'm happy overall. Healthy family, beautiful life. I'm getting paid, but I'm not fulfilled with what I'm doing. But I'm doing what I'm doing because I feel stuck and because I feel scared. My first experience with entrepreneurship with the baseball academy, it failed. It was a failure. But Larry, you learn from that. It's a lot easier said than done. A lot easier said than done. So it's kind of like playing double dutch. I would go through modes where I'm going to quit. No, I'm not. I'd be stupid to quit, to give up that stability, that paycheck. But speaking with my wife, speaking with my kids, my friends, my family, my mom told me, you got to pray harder. God's got an answer for you. And for me, my faith is strong. So I prayed on it and I prayed on it, and God sent me a sign. March 26th of 2021. The sign was that I don't need to be in corporate America. Now, I'd been preparing for over a year for that moment. So when it happened, I was ready. And I can tell you, looking back at it a year and a half later, it was the best decision that I made or that was made on my behalf.
Sure.
Ain't no stopping us now. So I can tell you that there was a lot of FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. The book, chapter number 1, talks about what story are you telling yourself and believing. That's a chapter that I needed to hear. When I was writing it, I needed to hear it because I work with a coach, and she said, Larry, it's amazing how positive, uplifting, encouraging you are to everyone else. But when you start talking about yourself, you talk more junk to yourself than you would ever talk to anyone else, than you would ever let talk to you. And it's holding you back. And when I finally came to the realization and recognized that she was right, the change started happening. The words that I use about myself, the beliefs that I have about myself are so powerful. Giving myself grace, understanding that, no, Larry, you have high expectations, but you're not going to be perfect, and that's okay. It's been an amazing transformation. So I'm on a mission to pass that along, and I'm hopeful that your listeners understand you don't have to be perfect. Give yourself uplifting messages, give yourself encouragement. Make sure you do that to everyone else as well, but make sure you support yourself, number one, to give yourself a chance at success beyond belief. So that's been kind of my experience. It's been powerful. It's bringing a tear to my eye as I think about it, because just that growth is so amazing.
Oh, I got chills while you said that. I can relate so much to that, because that internal dialogue, that chatter that runs nonstop. I mean, we all have it, right? And it's a core thing that I teach with my clients, and it's really out. I mean, this is something I teach all the time with my training and my methodologies. It's like, it's 95 to 98% what you believe about yourself. It really is. It's 2 to 5% strategy. Success is 2 to 5% strategy, but the vast majority is, what do you believe about yourself? And to your point, which I love how you said it, what are the stories that you're telling yourself? I'd love to dive into that a little bit more with you, because I mean, between you and me, we could do a 3-day seminar on this, and we could just keep going. I'm pretty sure, because we're both really passionate about this. So I'm hearing you say that made a huge impact to start to shift that dialogue. Give us some, like, as tactical as you can. What are some things you did specifically to start shifting your inner dialogue and to start telling yourself speaking a more powerful story over your life?
Yeah, it's very simple. It's actually speaking it. It's not thinking about it. So I moved around a lot as a youngster, and kids can be mean. And my mom, I had a praying mom. We would say our prayer at night. Then she used to make me stand up in the middle of the room with my hands up and say, I am somebody 10 times. Well, I went back to what my mom did as a youngster. And I started, when I woke up, I would say, I am somebody. Before I went to bed, I am somebody, out loud 10 times. My wife, she already knows I'm crazy. So she's like, what is this crazy guy doing now? But it's amazing when you say those words and you say it like you mean it from the heart. And even if you don't really believe it, you can trick yourself into believing that you are somebody, because you are. And when you say that over and over and over again, every night, every morning, now you start to have this swagger. And it's not even, it's one of those things where it's just the little bit, the little change in your heart, in your mind, in your words, in your actions, you're now transforming into a different person. So that worked for me. I encourage others to give it a try to see if that can work for you, as well as to let other people know who's your A team. Who's surrounding you that's lifting you up? Hercules, Hercules, who's cheering you on? It's so important that you don't have people that are trying to bring you down, but you want people around you that are lifting you up, that are supporting you and giving you a kick in the behind when you need it. My wife, oh, she's an expert at that behind kicking. Lord knows I need it.
That's a special role that only the wife gets to deliver. I'm speaking as someone who occasionally gives a behind kicking too. I love it. I love it. And to your point, and this is something I had to really learn for myself, like when you're doing affirmations, when you're speaking a new belief over yourself, it will feel like a lie at first because your subconscious hasn't accepted it, right? So most people, I think, give up then. But I love what you said about you keep going, you keep going, you keep going. Because if you keep going long enough, eventually it's like, okay, well, I guess he's serious. I guess she's serious. Like, this is my truth now. So that's so good. That's so good. Larry, tell us a little bit about, I know your book too is so much about the power of intention. And in my own life, learning to be more intentional has shifted so much, but I know everybody has a different definition of that and what that looks like. So can you speak to us more about your definition of intention as it relates to business, career, and life? And then what are some things we can do to start bringing more intention into our goals every day?
Yeah, for me, it's the thoughtfulness. So many times, and I work with coaching clients that are kind of just going with the flow, which is okay. But if you have clear vision, mission, understanding of who you are and who you want to be, what you want to accomplish, it makes everything that you do more purposeful. It's kind of like it's that compass. If I was to sail from New York to Africa and I didn't have a compass, chances are I'd end up in the North Pole chilling with Santa Claus. But when I have that compass, it really grounds me in terms of making decisions of yes, and equally important, saying no to things. So that intentionality, if you want to be great, you have to intentionally want to be great. It doesn't just happen. I know we live in a microwave society, but there's no pixie dust or magic silver bullet that's going to get you there. So I just want people to slow down, to speed up, to think things through and be thoughtful about, what am I going after? Why am I going after it? What do I need to do and who do I need to do it with in order to get there? Because success rarely happens by accident. Now some folks might say, oh, I accidentally fell into it. But when you really dig in deep, it's like, no, you're an overnight success, 20 years in the making.
Right. Right.
That whole journey that you've been on has built you up. It's built a foundation for you to be able to thrive right now. And I want people to know that, hey, you've been through some stuff. That's okay. That's a good thing. The best is yet to come. Let's go get it. But we've got to be intentional. We've got to be thoughtful. We've got to be mindful. We've got to be purposeful every single day with what we're doing.
Wow. Wow. How do you do that? So strategically, how do you do that? Is that like in the morning, you're thinking about what's coming up for you and you're, planning out the day, or what does that look like for you?
Yeah, for me, it's my trusty busty notebook or notebook. I've got notebooks everywhere. I mean, Elise, I'm the notebook. I tear up some trees, but for me, it's really documenting. And one thing that I've gone back to, this is very basic, but for anyone listening, I encourage you. I've got my top 3 win the day. If I can win the day, if I can do these top 3 things, even though my laundry list is about 50 plus, if I can do these 3, I've won the day. It's a game changer, because most high achievers have so much stuff going on.
Yeah.
But it's like, hey, what can I do that's important and urgent that's going to move the needle? Those are my top three. And I do have to share this with you, Elise. It starts with us, but it's not about us. There's a quote by Martin Luther King Jr., and I ask myself this question every morning. His quote says, life's most urgent and persistent question is, what are you doing to help others? If you can answer that at the end of every day, hey, Larry, what did you do today to help someone else out, to help others out? If you can answer that question, I guarantee your life and other people's lives that you've touched will be so fulfilled. It's an amazing thing. So putting that into practice, I do something called the hashtag 3-minute challenge. And I'm an overachiever. It's actually, I do the hashtag 15-minute challenge, but every day I go into my Rolodex. I know some of the youngsters out there, the millennials, are like, is that the fancy watch? No, that's a Rolex. That's so expensive. I can't even spell it. But I go into my contact list in my phone and I find 5 people that I haven't been in contact with. It could be 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years. And all I do is take 3 minutes to surprise and delight them. Elise, if you were my surprise and delight today, I would go into Google, my best friend. I would find a funny Roy Williams GIF of him dancing. I'd send it over to you and I'd say, hey, what's up, Elise? Marvelous Monday. Hope you're having a wonderful week. I thought this might bring a smile to your face. I'm not asking you for anything. I'm just making a relationship deposit. Oftentimes we try to make withdrawals. We haven't made any deposits. Houston, we have a problem.
Yes. Oh man, that's so good. That's so good. You know what I love so here's the thing that I love on this show is I get to study really successful people like you and hear like, okay, what are they doing every day? And I look for commonalities. And so I've got you on now. I had Glenn Lundy of Breakfast with Champions on last week. And both of you said the same thing about like, before you start the day, send love to someone else, send out something good, do that. And I love that so much because you look for clues. Okay, everyone is doing this thing. It must work, right? And it's like, you're not doing it because you think that person's going to buy from you that day. It's just like, it makes you feel good, right? Karmically, we know that comes back to us some way, somehow. We don't have to micromanage that process, but I'm hearing this repeated again and again, and it's so powerful. So
it is. And people need it. We're going through some tough stuff. And just for someone to know that you're thinking about them, I co-authored a book and my chapter was The Little Things Are Really the Big Things. And I wanted it to be called The Little Things Are Really the Big Things, but they said, nah, you can't talk like that in our book. Go ahead and write your own book. I said, okay.
Boom. Good for you. Good for you. Oh man, that's so good. So I think I'm going to have you in a moment just share like where people can connect and where they can buy the book and get more plugged into your world, Larry. But I'd like to spend a moment and acknowledge what you just said. And look, like this is going to apply regardless of when someone is listening. As we record this, I mean, this is why I don't watch news because I think it's always just junk no disrespect, but it's always going to look negative on the news. But right now, especially, right, there's a lot that people are feeling fearful of, feeling afraid of. Tell us, what is your take on that? How do you stay positive? How do you stay motivated? I'd love if you could impart some wisdom on us.
It's a choice. It's intentionality. And it's really being careful of what I consume. There's a chapter in my book, You Are What You Consume, which would make me a fried chicken because guess what time it is, Elise? It's bow time. But honestly, got me choked up again. What are you putting into your system? Who are you surrounding yourself with? If all you do is watch the news, they should call it bad news. Chances are you're going to be in a bad mood. But if you read encouraging books, listen to encouraging podcasts like She Sells, and you surround yourself with encouraging people, chances are you're going to be encouraged. You're going to feel hopeful about the future ahead of us. So I just encourage people to do an audit and be mindful, intentional, thoughtful with your surroundings, for your eyes, what you put into your mouth, what are you eating, your environment. It plays such a huge role whether you know it or not. And some people don't want to admit it. Give it a try.
It's the absolute truth. It is the absolute truth. This has been so fun. I knew it was going to be fun. It's been beyond fun. It's uplifted me. It's helped me expand my thinking. It's inspired me. So I have two final questions for you. Before we get into those, please, Larry, tell us where can everyone connect with you? So tell us where they can go to find the book, where they can go to find out about your coaching, your training.
Yeah, my website, LarryLongJr.com. That's Larry Long Jr. You can also find me on LinkedIn. I got the smile for a mile, got the face for radio, Larry Long Jr. on LinkedIn. Oh, I would love to connect. And then my book is on Amazon, Jolt, with an exclamation point. You'll see the lightning bolt, whatever I can do to help and support your audience, Elise.
Oh, so good. So good. So final questions for you, Larry. Number one, I would love to know, just looking back on your journey for yourself, if there's someone listening who can, and I can promise everyone can relate to part of your story here. I can for sure. But what is the piece of advice that, let's say, like your 20-year-old self, like going into your career, going into business, what do you wish you had known when you started that you know now?
Yeah. Ask for help. Don't try to do it alone. I'm still guilty of it, Elise, but I've gotten better. I'm still on a journey where it's kind of that ego. I don't want to ask anyone for help. I don't want to bother anyone. No, people want to help. And if they can't, they'll let you know. But if you don't ask, you'll never know. And why do it alone? I don't know the exact saying, but if you want to go fast, I think they say go alone. If you want to go far, go with someone else, go with the team. And that, I just posted about this. Teamwork really does make the dream work. It really does. I don't care how hokey you believe it is. You can look time and time again. I will challenge anyone that doing it as a team provides so much more power than it is doing it by yourself. So that would be my advice. Hey, Larry, you hard-headed knucklehead, just ask for help, man, instead of running in the walls. When you could have asked mentors, you could have asked guides, you could have had a Sherpa. I pity the fool.
So good. So good. Final question for you. And I love that you've already, you teed this up well, because when we have male guests on our show, I love to just give a shout out to the women in your life. And I know there are multiple phenomenal women in your life. I want to take this moment to ask about, you mentioned your mom a couple times throughout the show, and it sounds like she really instilled some powerful mindsets and habits in you that you still have used today to get to where you are and to overcome adversity. So what's the number one life lesson you've learned from your mom?
Oh my goodness. That I am somebody, and that love conquers all. I've been so blessed just to see the example of my mom as a hard worker, didn't get a college degree, but the smartest person I know, just an amazing, phenomenal woman. And I don't know, I do know I'm blessed, I'm fortunate. And in addition to my mom, I know you didn't ask this, but I got to give a shout out to my wife, Maria Long, because day in and day out, her support, her strength beyond anything that she even believes. She doesn't even know how strong she is. Just an amazing woman. And the example she sets for my daughter and my son and for everyone around her is just phenomenal. So I've been blessed with a beautiful mom, a beautiful wife. My daughter is a beautiful young lady. And I appreciate everything that you do, the example you're setting of excellence. I just tip my cap to you, Elise, and I say thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. That is, I received that. And that was beautiful. I'm so inspired by you, by the women in your life, by what you just shared. So thank you, my friend. This is, like I said, this has been a really, really powerful conversation. And I'm so grateful to have you on the show today.
Likewise. Thank you so much, Elise.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So to you, my listener, thank you so much for listening. Go connect with Larry, buy his book, Jolt. And I know you enjoyed this, if you want to pick up on more of his energy and more of the deep dive into how you can get unstuck, how you can build a life of intention, how you can create success on your terms in your life, your business, and your sales, go connect with him, buy his book. And as always, I'm so grateful for you being a listener of She Sells Radio. And I'll see you on our next episode. Bye for now.